Today I'm ranking every major battle from Star Wars The Clone Wars, and turns out there were 28 different battles in this show. I'll also briefly look at what the best battle from the 2003 Clone Wars was. At 28 in last place is the Battle of Petunia. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we only see this battle from C-3PO and R2-D2's perspective, and it is very brief, where we see Adi Gallia fighting with General Grievous in her flagship until Plo Koon and the Wolf Pack arrive. It is very brief and not close to the best. Next up at 27 is the Battle of Felucia. This only serves as a way to show Ahsoka being disobedient in this episode, and I'd put it above last place because Felucia is a dope planet, and this one has more story value than Petunia. At 26 is the Battle of Ba-Thu-Wai. While this is a Season 1 battle and the one with the worst animation quality of any Clone Wars episode, it still had a cool Republic strategy shown where they placed the AT-TEs on the asteroids in space, which we see again at the Battle of Devron, which we'll get to later. However, this was a cool strategy, and it was great to see Anakin Skywalker and General Grievous in a dogfight. At 25 is the Battle of Florrum. I don't really remember this battle, which I feel like speaks for itself, although I suppose it was nice to see Hondo Ohnaka versus General Grievous's forces. Next up at 24 is the Battle of Skako Minor. This wasn't much of a battle as much as it was a skirmish, but it was still very cool to see all these Octup Tara droids in the Clone Wars, and also the Bad Batch in action is always a pleasant sight to see. At 23 is the Battle of Khalida, and from now on we're going to have a little counter on the side of the screen for every single time I mispronounce the names of these battles. And this was when Anakin and Plo Koon had a squadron assault the Malevolent ship, which was a simple yet high-stakes space battle, especially because we were watching these pilots getting over to that point the whole episode, so it was much more emotionally investing here. At 22 is the Battle of Saleucami, and I don't know how much of this episode we can include as part of this battle, but all of the action attempting to rescue Eeth Koth is very entertaining, and it was cool to see the planet up close when we barely saw it in Revenge of the Sith. At 21 is the second Battle of Felucia. I like this one a lot better than the first Battle of Felucia for a few different reasons. For one, it's at nighttime, which is a really cool aesthetic for Felucia, almost like Umbara mixed with Felucia, but then again, Umbara didn't exist when this came out. Also, seeing Plo Koon and Anakin working together is always a pleasure for sure. At 20 is the Battle of Anaxes. This was another good Season 7 battle, but then also seeing Anakin walk right up to Admiral Trench and kill him was pretty cool. I like how we slowly see him being desensitized to killing across the Clone Wars, which transitions nicely into him slaughtering the Separatist leaders in Revenge of the Sith. And we saw the Bad Batch in action again, or more specifically, for the first time, which is very exciting. At 19 is the Battle of Malastare. Here we see a brief battle between the Republic and Separatists, which ends with the use of an electro-proton bomb, which was a unique weapon we hadn't seen up to this point. Although the battle itself is very brief, so despite how much I love the dwarf spider droids, it's hard for me to find much value in this battle. At 18 is Grievous's surprise attack. I couldn't even give this battle a name, so I guess there's another one on the wrong name counter, but I still think it is worth acknowledging, as it's cool to see General Grievous get more and more dangerous as the war goes on, because it's like the director Dave Filoni started to realize that he actually needed to make Grievous give any stakes to the other characters whatsoever, and not just be a mustache-twirling villain. Also, Grievous crushing this one clone trooper with his leg is pretty sick, and he does it right in front of General Kenobi, no less. At 17 is the Battle of Teth. While I don't remember this battle very much, I do know that this planet has a pretty unique aesthetic, and I liked seeing the ARF troopers in a jungle-like setting. Also, climbing up the side of this massive cliff with the AT-TEs in a literal vertical battle was a pretty unique idea as well. At 16 is the Battle of Christophsis. Most of the battles that take place across multiple different seasons tend to be full of content, and it was very interesting to see the spies and stealth tech and how that can influence a battle. While we have another one of these Revolutionary War style charges, it is nonetheless one of the more memorable battles from the show. At 15 is the Battle of Quell. This is one of the first battles I really enjoy, and I honestly think it is pretty underrated. Seeing a battle in the sky within these clouds, it makes it feel very high up, and also the Jedi get very close to dying here, with Anakin holding back a massive explosion, while Ahsoka is over here jumping onto flying super battle droids. Before we look at the top half of the list, we have the best 2003 Clone Wars battle, which is in my humble opinion the Battle of Munilist, because we got to see everything you would want to see in a Star Wars battle, with the clone troopers at their true strategic peak, a really unique and cool planet for the backdrop. Also, we see new battle droids, Asajj Ventress in battle, and even some bounty hunter action with Dirge here also. At 14 is the Battle of Cato Neimoidia. This was a pretty cool aerial battle because while it was cool to see an aerial battle between capital ships, it was even better to see some dogfights, and also Anakin and Ahsoka fighting against buzz droids was pretty dope. And in Revenge of the Sith, when we see these sort of suspended cities in the air for that brief scene with Plo Koon's death, it was cool to finally see a little bit more of that on Cato Neimoidia here. At 13 is the Battle of Sullust. This was one of the best space battles from the show, from the tri-droids to the action with Ventress dueling against Anakin and Obi-Wan. At 12 is the Battle of Yurabana. This was a great show of Anakin as a charismatic general, and also there is an extra plus from the war crime he commits here, that's being false surrender. At 11 is the Battle of Dathomir. Before we enter our top 10, we have the Battle of Dathomir, which was another show of General Grievous's strength, as he utterly destroyed the Night Sister people, which was pretty crazy considering we'd seen them across multiple episodes at this point in the show, so they seem to be a pretty significant faction of a species here, but then they were just completely exterminated, which was just a big show of power from Grievous, and we finally got to see a fight between General Grievous and Asajj Ventress, which was pretty dope. Moving into our top 10 is the Battle of Ryloth. Here's a battle that I never cared that much about in Season 1 from the arc there, when we see the civilians and all of that stuff, but seeing Amagundi's last stand was very inspiring, and this is one of my favorite scenes from the show. At 9 is the Battle of Deveron. Now, many of my ops watching this video will call this a terrible take. However, not only is Cad Bane himself in this episode, but we also get this great action scene where the ammunition actually sets off, leading to a massive blow to the hull of the ship. And like I mentioned before, we see ATTEs in space, more specifically on the hull of this Munificent class battleship here, which was very interesting. At 8 is the Battle of Lolo Seiyu. One of the best things here for me is the planet itself, because this dark rocky crust with yellow plasma and a purple atmosphere with particles of ash floating through the air is a cool vibe. Plus, seeing a ring of Jedi surrounded by Anubas and crab droids on all sides is a highlight of this battle. Plus, the space battle with Saesee Tiin, Adi Gallia, and Kit Fisto is very memorable to me as well. At 7 is the Battle of Ringo Vinda. I don't know if we usually see clones using shields, except for that one time with the Riot clones on Coruscant, but not only was the strategies in between the Jedi Sisters and Doom's unit really interesting, but also the shields were cool, and the aesthetics of the area they are fighting in is also very nice as well. At 6 is the Battle of Mon Cala. We got 3 full episodes on this battle, and the underwater war is something I wish we could see more of in the show or the franchise in general. I mean, we get so many land battles and space battles, but it is kind of cool when we get to see something in the ocean every once in a while, which really only happens in this show if you really think about it. Also, Kit Fisto using his amphibious fighting style is something I like here, as is Riff Tamsin and all the other chaos that ensues throughout the city. But real quick, here is the Christian advice sort of section of the video. Skip back to this time if you want to get to the main video again. And for today, we actually have a sample from Esther, the Greek edition B, which is in the Apocrypha, of course. And this is from, so it's B13, and basically what I found interesting here is when it's like Haman, I don't really know how to pronounce his name, he is kind of talking to the king, and the king gives this speech, this letter, talking about how the Jews, the Jewish people, are trying to destroy their society, destroy the peace and the security of the people through their infiltration and disregard for the rules of the king. And I just found it very interesting. I don't have a specific verse from there, but I did find it very interesting how this very much parallels Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, sort of talking about the Jedi. I saw some really interesting parallels there. I don't know if George Lucas intended for that to be the case, but I did find it quite interesting nonetheless. For the album of the week, it's going to Jesus is King by Kanye West. Really, really good mainstream Christian album. Would definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't. Remember, you can leave a comment on this video if you had any questions, video suggestions, or just want to tell me how your week has been. Also, check out the winter merch drop. There's about to be a little ad that's going to pop up on the screen that I found quite cool, the merch in general. I just think you should check it out. There's some cool products. Maybe you could get someone for Christmas, maybe a special someone, need something good for them. dbbhstore.com has got you covered. Now, I know they're gonna want some Star Wars merch, okay? That's just like, all right? So, yeah, check that out. And also, yeah, I know I upload normal videos every Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time or something like that, and post shorts every single day. I'm kind of like, can't really speak English right now, so just check out this ad segment. Yeah. Next up at 5 is the Battle of Onderon. This battle actually showed us the battle as more of a rebellion from a battle droid invasion, which allowed us to care more for the outcome of the battle because we want to see the rebels of Onderon get their world back. Also, this battle was multi-layered and actually showed fighting in the streets as well as throughout the ecosystem of the planet, and while I find this planet somewhat boring compared to other ones from this show, this allowed for more of the focus to be on the drama of what is going on here with the characters, especially when that one lady died, which was definitely pretty sad. At 4 is the Siege of Mandalore. For me, seeing the Mandalorian Super Commandos in action against Ahsoka Tano's very own clone legion was the highlight of this battle, but like the Battle of Onderon, this one has layers, like an onion. And we get to see the battle in the streets, as well as in the sewers, and the duel between Ahsoka and Maul is so iconic as well. At 3 is the Battle of Kamino. While Kamino was only shown for one episode, it was still great to see the unique environment of this planet used to the advantage here, with an aquatic assault and very unique architectural design, and the Aqua Droids, Grievous and Ventress, high stakes for its importance as the birthplace of the clones, and also the Domino Squadron is in the middle of it all, so there's just a lot. At 2 is the Battle of Umbara. Not only is the nighttime vibrant setting very beautiful, but we see Pong Krell, who is this Jedi character who feels kind of sketchy at first, but we're like, okay, maybe he'll kind of redeem himself and we'll see the value of his aggressive form of leading his troops. But then we get his whole carnage where he turns clone legions on each other and has them do friendly fire because he's actually working for the Separatists and he's like kind of a psychopath. So all that stuff was very interesting, and the battle itself is so interesting from the new tech we see of the Umbarans, which almost feels like Dave Filoni and the team went out and pretty much just made a new faction of Star Wars characters like the Republic or the Separatists just for this one world with all their different ships and weapons and things, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Also, all the Sarlaccs and stuff was a nice touch. At number 1 though, the best battle from the entire Clone Wars show, which is known for having some pretty good battles, is the second Battle of Geonosis. So this is like pretty much D-Day in Star Wars, and the landing on Point Rain is absolutely incredible. I mean, from start to finish, that episode is like kind of non-stop action, and is honestly maybe the best episode from the first season or two. And I don't know, I mean, it's just crazy, that episode. Then we get to see in each other episode a different sort of elements of the battle, which fleshed it out a lot more. You know, at first we get to see them go inside of this factory and try to destroy these new tanks that the Separatists have. Then they go into the catacombs and try to arrest Poggle the Lesser, and then we end with the brain worms in the episode Brain Invaders. So overall, this is a very deep and intricate battle that had some of the best action from the entire show and was really intense, and it was cool to see all the Jedi here as well. But if you want to see me rank every single duel from the Clone Wars, all 30 or so of them, then I did a video on that about a month ago, which you can see if you click right here. But yeah, see ya.